Welcome to another edition of the Money Conversation, where we have been having very rich discussion on the 9 tips of money by Robert Kiyosaki. I hope you have listened to the previous editions from the first to the fifth. They are very informative and they have valuable content that are practical, easy and practical action steps that can help build your finances. So if you haven't listened to them, please run to the YouTube channel and look for the first 5 videos, right? Today we're going to be talking about the 6th tip by Robert Kiyosaki on money, right? So we're going to be looking at make money work for you. Make money work for you. You know, most people spend their lives working so hard for money, trading time, skills, and even their energy for a paycheck. Nothing wrong with that, but Robert Kiyosaki teaches that the wealthy flip the script. So while you are working for money, they flip it and make money work for them. So instead of working harder for money, they build systems where money works for them. And this is obtainable in every society, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in Nigeria or in the US. These are the things that the wealthy people do that makes them wealthy. So what does it mean that money is working for you? How do you make money work for you? This means using money as a tool. Lots of people don't see money as a tool, but money is actually a tool, not just something you earn and spend. It's something that you could use for your own interest. So when you see money as a tool and you invest it wisely, you will notice that all the videos I've been talking about invest. After this series, we're going to be looking at fundamentals of investment so that you know the laws, the principles guiding investments, how to get it right. So let's go back to what we're discussing. I said the rich use money as a tool, and when invested wisely, money can create more money without being physically present. So that is what it means to make money work for you. When your money can produce more money without you having to lift a finger to do anything to earn that extra money, right? So that's how the rich buy freedom. They build assets that generate passive income. Yesterday we did mention asset generating income. This is a tool that the rich use to enrich themselves further. So how do you make money work for you? How exactly can you make money work for you? The first thing you need to do is invest in income producing assets or income generating assets, right? Things like rental properties, dividend stocks, bonds, royalties, or businesses. Now let me give us an example of a business. I once told us about a client that I had who saved with me, and then he asked for his funds when we're talking about contingency funds. Yes, that client. So that client is into transportation and logistics, and he started off with town service where he picks passengers from Abuja to Enugu, and then from there he grew into Uber service where he's just operating within town, but he can also engage in services like going to bring in somebody's car, somebody who bought a new car, and now he has started building on that transportation and logistics. What does he do now? He still drives his Uber car, right? But he has 2-3 other cars out there that he outsourced to people who are now driving the cars and bringing in returns on a weekly basis for him. And you know that the minimum that Uber owners return to the car owners is 25,000 monthly. That was the last time I checked, but I think it has increased. So he has 2, 3, 4 drivers remitting 25,000 monthly to him. Now that is an asset generating income. The car and the business is now an asset generating income. And 2 weeks ago he hits me up and say, do you have a logistic driver I would like explain. He said a driver that would do delivery with my bike. So he has gone from just owning Uber cars to now having bikes for delivery. Now you see, he is expanding, he is investing into his business. Some people will take that same proceed to go and buy liabilities, but he's using his extra income, like we spoke about yesterday in when we're talking about using your extra income, buying assets and not liability. He's using his extra income to acquire more cars, to acquire bikes, and he's still driving one himself. So tell me how such a person wants to ever run out of cash. It's almost impossible, because at every point in time, funds are coming in. So this is a clear example of a business being an asset generating income, right? Good. This is a clear example of a business that can serve as asset generating investment. All right. So let's now go to the next thing you can do to make money work for you. The next thing you can do is to leverage other people's money. I call it OPM, leveraging on other people's money. You know, the wealthy use loans, partnerships, or even investors capital to acquire their assets, but they always ensure that this is an asset that can pay for itself. So for example, if I should use that logistics business, I collect loan to acquire 2, 3, 4, 5 cars, and then I give out these cars to drivers who will be remitting funds to me every week. Now I used other people's money to acquire these assets, but the asset is producing enough income, right, to be able to offset the loan that I collected. So that is what it means to use other people's money, and that's why sometimes financial experts tell you that you should be able to differentiate between good debts and bad debts. And we're going to be looking at that because it's one of the tips by Robert Kiyosaki, so that you won't say, they are encouraging us to go and borrow money. Yes, there's something called good debts. When you borrow money to use to fund an asset generating income, right? It's a good debt because the asset is going to pay off the debt itself. You won't need to dip your hands into your pocket. We're not talking about that today, so let's just go back. We've been deviating a lot because this has a lot to do with other tips that we have talked about earlier, or that we'll talk about in the coming days. So leverage on other people's money. Another way you can leverage on other people's money is through the Ajo contribution. That is the local way of leveraging on other people's money. So what do? For example, I use that a lot to my advantage. I know the months that I have heavy bills to pay, and so when we come together 10 to 11 people in a year, I ensure that I choose a month that I need to use the funds for a project. For example, every September I know that I have to pay first term school fees, which is usually the heaviest in the 3 terms, right? Because you are practically paying for everything at the beginning of the academic session. So when we do this Ajo, I always pick the month of August, knowing that when the contributions start dropping by 31st of August, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of September, I will have enough money to pay the fees before school resumes. And this is how I have been paying my son's school fees effortlessly, especially in a new term. So always leverage on other people's money and use it to do something that will ultimately generate cash flow for you. Now automate your savings and investment. That's the third way you can make money work for you. We talked about paying yourself first in tip 2. So by automating your savings and investment, what you need to do is pay yourself first. Once you've paid yourself, then direct that money that you paid yourself into accounts or vehicles that will grow over time. Pay yourself first doesn't mean you should pay yourself then go and use it to hang out. No. Pay yourself first and then direct the funds into assets that can generate income for you. The fourth way you can make money work for you is learn to spot opportunities. financial education is key in this aspect. There's a season that we call wealth transfer seasons. If you don't know these seasons, you will not know how to maximize the opportunities that come with these seasons. So during wealth transfer seasons, that's when you can leverage on buying properties and a lot of things at a very affordable rate. One of those seasons is during the election. Now that politicians are going to start preparing for the upcoming election 2027, from next year 2026, a lot of politicians will begin to flip their properties, their lands, and because there's a supply of land in the market that is probably higher than the demand, the prices will drop. This is an example of a wealth transfer season. Another example of a wealth transfer season is during crises such as COVID-19. I particularly acquired the 2 landed properties I had in 2020 during the COVID-19 outbreak because people were flipping their properties to get funds since there was companies, organizations were closed down and people needed to survive. And so I bought properties at very affordable rates. One of the properties I bought was at 400,000 and I flipped it for 3 million. So you see, between 2020 and 2025, a land that I bought at 400,000, I sold at 3 million. That is a very good investment. So that was a good opportunity and I recognized that opportunity because I understand wealth transfer seasons and I'm always ready, looking out for them. Another time is when people are, this Japa syndrome, when people are beginning to leave the country, they tend to sell out their belongings, even their businesses at a giveaway price. So this is a very good time to purchase or buy the assets or things that they are selling off. So learn to spot opportunities. The more you understand how money moves, the better you can position yourself to benefit. And the last way money can work for you is build systems, not just jobs. A side hustle, a small business that runs even when you're not present, is a powerful way to free up your time and still make money. So you might wonder, why did that client reach out to me to send him a driver? That is because I run a driver's hub where I outsource drivers to companies, individuals, even families, right? And so I always have a pool of drivers where if you're looking for a driver now, we can send one to you. So that business is one of my businesses that I'm not directly involved. All I do is send out the adverts, and when people need drivers, they call me. I send the drivers are working. At the end of the month, I'm getting the pay. So when I get the pay, I now pay the drivers. Am I the one driving the car? No. Am I the one who resumes work at the client's place every morning? No. What's my role in this business? Adverts, orientation for the drivers, and that is all. But I'm making extra income at the end of every month. So learn to build systems, not just jobs. Look for side hustle that you don't need to physically be present to earn from it. Now, Kiyosaki stresses that when you only work for money, you stay trapped in the circle of bills, right? Debt and stress becomes your second name. But when you make money work for you, you buy freedom, you buy security, and then the ability to live life on your own terms. I hope you've learned something from this video today. I want you to make up your mind that money is going to start working for you. And yes, these are practical steps, which is why I use very relatable examples. Begin to look into yourself. There's that thing that you can do to make money work for you. Until I come your way again,